She said it while pouring coffee, like she was asking for more sugar. I think we should separate. My ex lost everything and needs me more than you do. There was no tremor in her voice, just quiet certainty, like she had already practiced the line in her head a dozen times. I stood there with the Tesla key in my pocket, the one I'd bought to surprise her. Midnight blue, custom interior. She'd talked about it for months. I was going to give it to her that morning. Instead, I smiled, a small, deliberate curve of the lips. "Hope we're happy together," I said. She looked startled for a second. Maybe she expected begging, a reaction, anything to make her feel powerful. But I gave her nothing. When she left, I watched her reflection disappear in the glass of the front door. It wasn't heartbreak that followed. It was silence. A calm, surgical kind of silence. The kind that comes right before you decide to dissect something that used to matter. The night after she moved out, I couldn't sleep. The bed was too neat, too quiet. Her perfume still lingered on the pillow, but beneath it, I could smell something else. The faint trace of someone who didn't belong here. Her ex. The man she said had lost everything. I remembered him. Weak, uncertain eyes. The kind of man who breaks things just to feel he can fix them again. She used to pity him. I used to pity her for loving him. Now I realized pity is the most dangerous emotion in marriage. It's the seed of betrayal. A week later, mutual friends stopped mentioning her. Their silence told me more than their words ever could. She wasn't grieving. She was rebuilding. Fast. Too fast. One photo surfaced on social media. Her sitting beside her ex at a dimly lit cafe. His hand barely touching hers. She didn't tag him, but she didn't hide either. I didn't comment. Didn't text. Didn't call. People mistake silence for weakness. They forget it's also a weapon. I started observing. Quietly, methodically. I knew where she worked, the route she drove, the places she loved. The world moves in patterns. All I had to do was trace them. 2 weeks in, I paid a visit to the mechanic where her ex used to work before losing everything. Turns out he hadn't lost everything, just his job, because of a failed investment. He'd sold his car, taken loans, moved into a small apartment outside the city. She was living with him now, helping him get back on his feet. I found her new address easily. I didn't go there. I didn't need to. Instead, I transferred the Tesla's down payment to a new account under my name. The car dealer called. I said I'd changed my mind. I didn't tell anyone, not even my closest friend, because revenge, real revenge, demands stillness. It doesn't announce itself. It waits. 3 months passed. Her ex's business failed again. Rumors spread. I knew she'd start drowning in his chaos soon. All I had to do was wait for the sound of footsteps returning to my door. It came 4 months later. Late at night. A knock. Then another. When I opened the door, she was there, eyes swollen, hair damp from the rain, trembling. Behind her stood a small crowd, neighbors maybe, concerned faces. I could hear fragments of her story from their murmurs. Something about her ex stealing from her, using her money, leaving her with debt and a broken lease. She looked at me as if expecting rescue, as if I was still the same man she left behind. He used me," she said, voice cracking. "I didn't know where else to go." For a moment, I almost pitied her again. Almost. Then I remembered her voice that morning, smooth and certain, saying he needed her more than I did. I stepped aside, let her in. She walked past me, shivering. She saw the house, clean, warm, untouched. My life didn't fall apart when she left. It got sharper. "You look good," she whispered. "I am," I said. I went to the kitchen, poured her a glass of water, set it on the table, and slid a small envelope toward her. Inside were printed screenshots. Her ex's messages, threats, requests, confessions. I'd been monitoring his financial accounts for months, his scams, his lies, the things he said about her. "You knew?" she asked. "Since the beginning." She covered her mouth. The glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. I didn't move to help. She stared at me, panic rising. "You could have warned me," she said. "I did," I replied softly. "When I said, 'Hope you're happy together,' she broke then. Tears, apologies, promises. The usual human noises people make when they realize consequences don't care about emotion. I didn't raise my voice, didn't gloat. Revenge isn't about seeing someone suffer. It's about reminding them you chose not to. I told her I'd reported her ex anonymously. Fraud, theft, embezzlement. He'd be in custody by morning. And her? She'd have to face the financial collapse he left her with. Every account tied to her name. Every paper she signed to help him rebuild. Her world was burning, and I didn't need to light the match. I'd only handed her the truth. She slept on the couch that night. Or tried to. I stayed awake in my study, listening to the faint sounds of her crying. At dawn, I left before she woke. On the kitchen counter, I placed a note. "The spare key isn't for you. It's for the cleaners. Leave it when you're done." When I returned that evening, she was gone. The house smelled clean, silent again. I walked to the garage. The Tesla sat there, flawless, untouched. I ran my hand along its cold surface and thought about how easily people mistake luxury for love. Somewhere between betrayal and clarity, I'd learned the truth. Forgiveness is overrated. Control, that's peace. And as I drove into the quiet dawn, her voice faded behind me like a song I'd finally stopped listening to. I didn't lose her that morning in the kitchen. She lost the man who would have saved her.